Discover the incredible journey of a betrayed heart, how 1 year transformed pain into adoration. In the heart of a cozy Midwestern town where everyone knew everyone, Sarah's life seemed to unravel like a cheap sweater. At just 32, she was the embodiment of resilience. A second-grade teacher, she spent her days shaping young minds while navigating the stormy seas of single motherhood. Her spirited 7-year-old son, Jake, was the light in her life. But each time she walked past the diners buzzing with gossip, her heart sank. Whispers swirled about her husband, who had left for someone richer, and judgment lay like a heavy fog. At nights, she put on her apron at the diner, balancing trays loaded with burgers and fries, smiling through her fatigue. Some praised her strength, others viewed her with pity. Bills piled up, and the fear of losing her home loomed large, tightening her chest as she lay awake in bed, the moonlight casting shadows on the walls. Each day, it felt like the world was piling more rocks on her shoulders. The budget cuts at her school only exacerbated her worries. The thought of her students, those bright-eyed kids going without the resources they needed, felt like an ultimate betrayal. How could she face them, knowing their futures were at stake? Then came Mr. Thompson, her elderly neighbor, a war veteran who had seen so much in his long life. Their nightly talks on the porch soon became a balm for Sarah's weary soul. His stories of resilience and hope painted a vivid picture of overcoming adversity. "You have so much to offer this world, Sarah," he would say, his eyes twinkling like stars on a clear night. His warmth wrapped around her like a favorite blanket, reminding her that dreams still flickered, even in chaos. One afternoon, a spark ignited inside her, a community fundraiser to gather resources for her classroom. Determined, she painstakingly planned each detail, envisioning laughter and connection. When the day arrived, she stood outside, heart pounding. But as folks trickled in, her heart sank. Disappointment gripped her like a vice. The turnout was low, and a cold wave of fear washed over her. All she wanted was to provide the best for her students, yet here she was, on the brink of failure before her own eyes. Suddenly, bits of laughter drifted in, and faces she knew began to fill the space. Neighbors, drawn by a sense of unity, arrived one by one, bringing warmth and enthusiasm. It was as if a spark returned. Life in the room thrummed, and suddenly, the event transformed, turning into a celebration of community. Sarah couldn't help but smile, eyes shining with a renewed sense of purpose. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As she watched her neighbors rallying around her, laughter and togetherness blooming like spring flowers in the warmth of friendship, Sarah felt hope surge through her. Love and connection weren't just whispers and judgment, they were palpable and real. Just as a budding romance started to flicker behind the scenes, an unexpected phone call shattered the moment. A voice from her past, threatening everything she had painstakingly built. Now, standing at this tumultuous crossroads, Sarah's heart raced with uncertainty. Would she triumph, or would the shadows of her past swallow her whole? The phone vibrated in her pocket, each buzz echoing like a drumbeat in her chest. Sarah hesitated, her hand hovering over the screen. The name glaring back at her was like a brand on her heart. Ryan. The memories flooded in his laughter, their late-night talks, the way he once promised her the world, only to hand her betrayal on a silver platter. Taking a deep breath, she answered. "Hello? Sarah, it's me." His voice was smooth, but beneath it lay an edge of uncertainty. "I need to talk to you." She clenched her jaw, refusing to let him draw her back into his web of deceit. "Why, Ryan? What more do you have to say?" "I'm sorry for leaving. I made a mistake. I can explain everything if you'll just meet with me." The words rattled in her mind like loose change. Meet with him? She could almost feel the tendrils of the past thrumming in her veins, threatening to pull her under, but she steeled herself. I don't think there's anything left to say. My life has changed. As she hung up, a few heads turned from the gathering behind her. A mix of delight and bewilderment painted their faces. Was this what she wanted? To entertain thoughts of reconciliation while her heart swelled in a new direction? My life has changed, she thought, her voice echoing in her mind. It wasn't a mere phrase, it was her reality. Jake dashed toward her, his bright smile momentarily driving the shadows away. Mom! Look at the games. They're awesome. He tugged at her sleeve, oblivious to the storm brewing inside her. How could she cling to any inkling of doubt when she saw his radiant joy? Before she could contemplate further, Mr. Thompson shuffled over, peering with concern. You all right, Sarah? You look like you've seen a ghost. Just an old ghost trying to find his way back into my life, she replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Don't let the past define you. You are stronger than you know, he reassured her, placing an aged hand on her shoulder. It was comforting, yet unsettling. Did she have the strength to hold on to her newfound life and still face the remnants of what once was? As the event continued to blossom with laughter and clinking glasses, Sarah felt the burden growing heavier. Here she was, surrounded by the living embodiment of community and support, yet Ryan's voice tangled in her mind like a thorny vine. Just as she turned to engage with a small group of laughter-filled faces, another message pinged on her phone. It was a snapshot of Ryan, standing with a woman whose arm was wrapped around him. Her heart plummeted, the warmth of the celebration dulled to a distant echo. How could he possibly think he could return to her life? As the laughter faded and the walls of her heart fortified, Sarah's resolve solidified. She would not let shadows from yesterday steal her sunlight today. But where would that path lead her? Was it time to close one chapter entirely, or could she rewrite it? As the evening wore on, she made a choice to step forward, yet certainty still eluded her. The tremor of her heartbeat echoed the uncertainty that filled her. She had set in motion something beautiful, but had the courage to let Ryan go, if he would only come back again? The call of her past still lingered like a whispered promise, a challenge that could turn into the very thing that redefined her future. The night air was vibrant with laughter and chatter, but Sarah felt like a ghost at her own celebration. The bustling party drifted into the background as her heart wrestled with the tangled emotions Ryan had resurfaced. She forced her attention back to Jake, who was bouncing on his feet, eyes wide with wonder at the games set up around them. His excitement was contagious, pulling her back to the present, if only momentarily. Mom, can we play the ring toss? He pleaded, tugging at her sleeve again. She knelt down to meet his eager gaze, brushing away her earlier thoughts. Of course, buddy. Let us go win some prizes. As they moved toward the game booth, Sarah felt a fleeting sense of normalcy wash over her. She tried to focus on Jake's grin, on the little boy who was her entire world. But just as laughter bubbled in her throat, her phone buzzed once more, a sharp reminder of what lingered on the edges of her mind. Another message. This time, she couldn't ignore it. Sarah discreetly checked her screen. It was a text from Ryan. I miss you. Please just let me explain. The words burned in her chest. She wanted to throw the phone, to banish him completely from her life. Yet a part of her, the part that remembered all the laughter and plans, tugged at her heartstrings. What did he want to say? Mom? Jake called, his voice pulling her back as he flashed a stuffed animal he had just won. Look! His exuberance brought a smile to her face, softening the sharp edges of her turmoil. She hugged him tightly, using the moment to remind herself why moving on was essential. Ryan's voice echoed in her mind, but so did the echo of Jake's laughter. The two seemed worlds apart, yet Sarah felt like she had to choose whom to listen to, their two realities colliding in her heart. Let us find some snacks, how about? She said, attempting to steer her thoughts away from Ryan's grip. They wandered through the festival, the scent of cotton candy and popcorn wrapping around them like a warm blanket. Yet each laugh from other partygoers highlighted her inner conflict. She wanted to shield Jake from the darkness she felt, to paint their lives in bright colors, but Ryan kept threatening to spill ink across the canvas. When they reached the snack stall, Sarah spotted a familiar face: Clara, her best friend since childhood, waving enthusiastically. Clara approached with a playful smile, catching Sarah off guard. "Hey! You look like you could use a friend. What's up?" With Jake happily munching away on his candy, Sarah felt a rush of gratitude. "You won't believe the day I've had," she whispered, leaning closer. Ryan called. Clara's smile faded slightly, her expression turning serious. "Oh no. What did he want?" "That's just it. He wants to explain, wants to meet." Sarah felt her words dragging her back into an emotional pit. But she couldn't let that happen. "Not now. Sarah, don't. He hurt you. You've come so far," Clara reminded her gently. "You deserve better." The sincerity in Clara's eyes struck a chord deep within Sarah. Maybe it was time to stop letting the past dictate her future. She hesitated, weighing the consequences against the thrill of possibility. "Can I really do this?" she asked, mostly to herself. "You can," Clara affirmed, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You're stronger than you think." In that moment, Sarah felt the weight of uncertainty pulling her one way, while hope flickered just beyond her reach. She could choose to let go, but the lingering question gnawed at her: what if closure was all she really needed? As the celebrations wrapped around her like a vibrant tapestry, Sarah stood at a crossroads. Would she confront Ryan and find her peace, or let the memories drift away? The night swirled on, music filling the air, but one thing was clear: tomorrow would be a day for decisions. What lay ahead could change everything, but would she have the courage to let the past stay where it belonged? The sun rose, casting golden rays through Sarah's window, illuminating the cluttered surfaces of her apartment. The colorful balloons from yesterday's celebration still floated in the corner, stubbornly clinging onto the remnants of joy. Yet today, Sarah felt more like a tightrope walker, teetering on the edge of uncertainty, the weight of yesterday tugging at her heart. Jake was already awake, his little tank of energy set to explode as he zoomed around the living room. "Mom! Can we go to the park?" he called, his voice spilling over with enthusiasm. "Sure thing, buddy. Let me grab my things," she replied, forcing a smile as she attempted to shake off the heaviness in her chest. Taking Jake to the park felt like a small step in reclaiming normalcy, a world where Ryan's voice didn't echo in her mind. As the door clicked shut behind them, the crisp air felt fresh against her skin, a reminder of the new beginnings she yearned for. Jake darted ahead, voice bubbling with delight as he pointed at passing dogs and squirrels. His innocence wrapped around her, like a shield against the storm brewing inside her heart. Arriving at the park, Sarah watched Jake run towards the swings, laughter spilling over her like the joy in the air. Her heart swelled with pride, but it was laced with the familiar ache of doubt. She thought about Ryan's message from the night before. Did she have it in her to face the wreckage of their past? As she sat on a nearby bench, scanning the playground, her phone buzzed yet again. This time, it was a call from Clara. "Hey, are you okay? I'm thinking about you." Clara's usual cheerful tone felt more like a soft breeze on a chilly day. "Hey, I'm fine," Sarah said, her voice lacking the usual spark. "Just out with Jake. We're at the park." "Good. Just wanted to check before you made a big decision." "I know how you feel about Ryan," Clara replied carefully. Sarah stared at her son, happily swinging into the sky. "I don't know, Clara. What if it's time? What if meeting him could finally help me move forward?" A long pause lingered before Clara spoke again, her voice filled with warmth. You don't have to do anything you aren't ready for. Remember, it's not just about closure. You're building a life here, and it matters. Listening to her friend's words, Sarah felt a flicker of resolve light within her. You're right. What if I took today to just focus on Jake and myself? Exactly. Make today about rediscovering you. And if you still want to meet Ryan later, you can. It's your call, Clara encouraged. With each swing of Jake, Sarah felt a warmth spreading through her. She'd been so consumed by Ryan's shadow that she had forgotten the beauty of being present in her little haven with her son. The day unfolded like a page from a storybook. They shared ice cream, played games, and even flew a kite. With every laugh that escaped Jake's lips, Sarah breathed in the sweet scent of new beginnings. She felt herself shedding layers of anxiety, inch by inch, moment by moment. But as they settled down on the grass for a mini picnic, both exhausted and elated, her phone buzzed again. Another text from Ryan. I really need to talk. I'm sorry for all the pain caught between the joy of the day and the tumult of the future. Sarah's heart raced. Was she ready to write this next chapter, or was it time to close the book on her past once and for all? Tomorrow held the promise of clarity, and she knew one decision could change everything. Would she have the strength to voice her feelings, not just for Ryan, but for herself? As the sun dipped lower in the sky, scattering warm hues across the park, Sarah's heart thudded against her chest, each thump a reminder of the message lingering on her phone. Jake, blissfully unaware, raced around the grass, his laughter echoing through the trees. Each chime of joy tugged at Sarah's heart, creating a haunting contrast to her inner turmoil. Mom! Look at me! Jake called out, leaping from one patch of grass to another, arms outstretched like a bird about to soar. His wide smile made her feel light for a moment, but then reality settled back in. She could no longer avoid the shadows Ryan cast over her mind. Jake, sweetie, can you come here for a second? Sarah said, trying to keep her voice steady. He came darting over, breathless. What's up, Mom? Remember how I told you that sometimes people need a chance to talk things through? She began, not completely sure where she was headed. Jake nodded, still bouncing on the balls of his feet. Well, I have to decide if I want to talk to someone who hurt us, and I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. Jake frowned slightly, tilting his head. Like talking to a friend? It's okay if it's hard, right? His innocent wisdom felt like a well-placed band-aid on her wounded heart. Yeah, you're right, she murmured softly, realizing how this child, her light, understood so much more than his small frame suggested. She breathed in deeply, feeling both the weight of motherhood and the piercing reminder of her own vulnerability. They resumed their picnic, the laughter of children mingling with the sounds of rustling leaves around them. Yet, the words from Ryan's text buzzed relentlessly in her mind. She felt like she was on the cusp of a decision that could alter everything. What was the cost of opening up that door? She took a deep breath, trying to drown out the uncertainty swirling about. Jake, let's talk about something fun. What do you want to be when you grow up? His eyes widened, excitement overtaking him. An astronaut. I want to fly to space and see planets. Sarah chuckled, her heart warmed by his dreams. That sounds amazing. You'd need a lot of training, though. Yeah. I'd learn everything about rockets. Jake was animated now, explaining how rockets work and what it would be like to land on Mars. His enthusiasm was infectious, and Sarah's heart, heavy just moments ago, began to lighten. But in the back of her mind, Ryan was still there, urging her to choose. As night settled in, casting deep shadows around them, Sarah felt the tension creeping back. She picked up her phone, looking at Ryan's message once more, then stared out into the park, where families gathered, packing up for the evening. A part of her wondered if she was ready to confront the past. Jake, how about we take a picture together before we leave? She suggested, inspired by the joy of the moment. He beamed, and she quickly scrolled through her phone to capture this fleeting day of happiness, a moment free from doubt and clinging to what they once had. "Say, space!" Jake shouted as Sarah held the camera up. "Space!" she echoed, smiling. And just like that, the moment froze in time, reminding her of the happiness that could be found in the now. But as they walked back to the car, Sarah felt the weight of tomorrow's decision pressing down. Ryan's message loomed in her thoughts. Could she genuinely open that door? Did she dare face what could come next? She clenched her jaw, knowing that clarity sometimes emerged in unexpected ways. "Mom?" Jake's voice broke through her contemplation. "Can we go to space tomorrow?" Sarah laughed, the glimmer of hope blooming within her. "We will. And maybe that's exactly what we need." As they drove home under the canopy of stars, Sarah found herself lost in thought. Meeting Ryan could hurt all over again, but was it a risk worth taking? The question hung heavy, pulsing in sync with her heartbeat. Would facing the past help her heal, or would it drag her under? Tomorrow, she promised herself, would bring an answer. The journey was far from over. As dawn broke, sunlight poured through the kitchen window, casting a golden glow on the breakfast table. The smell of pancakes filled the air, a comforting routine that grounded Sarah as her thoughts raced. She flipped the last pancake and placed it onto a plate, glancing over at Jake, who was busy with his cereal, eyes glued to a cartoon. "Jake, how do you feel about our space adventure today?" she called out, her heart fluttering with excitement and anxiety. "Awesome!" he replied, grinning widely. "Can we pretend to fly a rocket?" Sarah nodded, a smile breaking on her face. "Definitely. But first, we need to fuel up. Rockets need lots of energy, you know." As they sat down to breakfast, Sarah's mind danced between the simple joy of pancakes and syrup, and the storm brewing inside her. Today, she would face Ryan, would open the door she had locked tight for so long. The thought made her stomach churn, but seeing Jake's bright face steered her back to love and hope. Later, they hopped into the car, the passenger's side filled with laughter as Jake made spaceship noises, pretending to launch into the sky. Sarah's heart swelled as she watched him, but the reality of the day ahead settled like a heavy weight on her chest. "Mom, are you okay?" Jake asked, concern evident in his voice. "Yeah, I'm just a little nervous about our adventure," she admitted. "But I'm ready to see new worlds. Just think of it as a mission." Jake encouraged, waving his arms dramatically. "You've got this." Sarah couldn't help but chuckle. He was so sure of her. And yet, uncertainty clawed at her. What if the conversation with Ryan didn't bring her peace? The air grew thicker as they approached the cafe where they had agreed to meet. The familiar sights and sounds began to blur, and her heartbeat echoed loudly in her ears. "Jake, I need you to be my co-pilot, okay? If I lose my way, can you help steer me back?" Jake gave her a confident nod, eyes sparkling. "Of course, Mom. We can do anything together." Pulling into the parking lot, Sarah parked and took a moment to breathe, her hands trembling on the steering wheel. She closed her eyes, grounding herself in memories of laughter under the stars, the bond they shared. These were the treasures she held dear, and she wouldn't let past pains eclipse them. "Are you ready?" Jake asked, brimming with enthusiasm. "Ready as I'll ever be," she breathed out, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. As they stepped inside, Sarah scanned the cafe. The familiar faces brought back a rush of emotions, and then she saw him, Ryan, sitting at a table by the window, looking as nervous as she felt. He waved, and for a moment, the world compressed into their shared history. She looked down at Jake, who was focused on his imaginary spaceship, completely unaware of the emotional currents swirling beneath the surface. "Let us go," she said softly, her heart pounding. They approached the table, and Sarah felt like she was walking through a thick fog. Would he even recognize her? Would he see the pain that lingered beneath her surface, the scars of their past? Sarah, Ryan said, tentatively. His voice was softer than she remembered, filled with something that resembled remorse. Ryan, she replied, her voice steady despite the chaos in her chest. Suddenly, she felt the weight of the decision she had made. There was no turning back, she was facing her past. But what she didn't expect was the flicker of hope igniting in her heart as she sat down. Could this lead her to healing? As the conversation began, she knew this was just the start of something that could change everything once and for all. Would they be able to uncover the truth they had buried so long ago, or was this simply a chance for more pain? The air felt heavier now that they were face to face. Ryan's gaze flickered over Sarah, searching for familiarity among the years. It sent a shiver down her spine. Memories of laughter transformed into regret twisted in her chest. She could feel Jake shift beside her, oblivious to the tension brewing in the space between them. "How have you been?" Ryan finally broke the silence, his voice barely above a whisper. "Living," Sarah replied, her words steadier than the storm in her heart. "It's been a journey." A faint smile appeared on Ryan's face, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I can only imagine." He looked down, tracing patterns on the table with his finger, an unfamiliar gesture combined with a familiar weight, as though he was measuring every word before he spoke. Sarah's hands trembled slightly. "Jake has been my light," she said, glancing at her son. He was busy imagining intergalactic adventures, carefully stacking sugar packets to make a rocket. She envied his innocence, his carefree spirit. "From what I've heard, he's a great kid." Ryan's tone shifted, and there was a warmth that felt almost tangible. "I'm proud of you, both of you." "Proud?" The word hung in the air like a thick fog. Sarah swallowed hard. Did he even have the right to say that? "So, what brings you back to town?" Sarah asked, probing cautiously, feeling the need to reclaim some control in this conversation. Ryan's expression faltered, a flicker of vulnerability crossing his face. "I needed to come back, to confront some things. To face my past. To see if there's a chance for forgiveness." The world felt like it had stopped at that moment. Forgiveness? The weight of those words was heavy, but for Sarah, they felt like a lifeline tossed into turbulent waters. Could she even consider it? Forgiveness? "It's not easy," she managed to say. "You hurt me, Ryan. You hurt us." His eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I know. I know I messed up. Every day since then has been a reminder of that pain. The guilt never left me." Jake, oblivious to the storm brewing, proudly announced, "Look, Mom. My rocket is ready for launch." He held up his creation, excitement shining in his eyes. It was a moment so innocent, so pure against the backdrop of their shared history. Sarah caught Ryan's gaze drifting to Jake, and she felt a shift. The warmth of a bond lost and a new one created brushed against their scars. A mixture of hope and fear coiled in her heart. Would confronting the past bring them closer together, or would it push them further apart? "Ryan," Sarah began tentatively, searching for the right words, "what do you hope for? Beyond this, beyond today?" "I hope for clarity," he answered slowly. "I want to understand my mistakes. I want to know if it's possible to heal. Maybe even to move forward." Sarah took a breath, feeling the weight of his admission tug at her. Could they really reshape what was broken? Or would they be forever trapped in the shadows of their past? She studied his face, the lines that told stories of regret and longing. There was something raw in the air, a fragile promise that held the potential for transformation. As silence fell between them, Sarah's mind raced ahead to the future, and suddenly, a question formed in her heart. Would she be brave enough to navigate this complicated terrain? "Maybe we could start small," she suggested cautiously. "Just talking. No expectations. Ryan nodded, a hint of gratitude sparkling in his eyes. The moment felt monumental, the tiniest crack in the walls they had both built. But as Sarah looked at Jake, who was still focused on launching his imaginary rocket, she couldn't shake the sensation that this was just the very beginning of an unimaginable journey. What would happen when the truth was finally revealed? Would the past bond them together, or would it tear them apart once more? The moment hung between them like a fragile thread, both of them aware that they were stepping into unknown territory. Jake, still engrossed in his imaginative play, was oblivious to the weighty conversation happening around him. It felt almost surreal to Sarah, watching her son craft a rocket destined for distant galaxies while she wrestled with the gravity of her past. "Talking sounds good," Ryan finally said, his voice shaky but resolute. "I do like that." He took a deep breath, then continued, "I've missed so many moments, Sarah. Moments I'll never get back." She glanced at him, feeling a flutter of something she couldn't quite name. "And I've missed your presence in our lives. But it's complicated." "I understand." Ryan's gaze dropped to the table, and for a moment, the silence that followed was suffocating. "What can I do to make it easier? To earn a place back? I'm willing to do whatever it takes." A faint laugh escaped her, laced with disbelief. "You really think it's that simple?" "It isn't simple," he said, looking up sharply. "But I need you to know I want to try. I want Jake to know me." The thought made her heart race. She couldn't deny the longing for her son to understand who his father was, flaws and all. Yet, the haunting memories echoed in her mind like a refrain. "You hurt us, Ryan. It's not just about you wanting to try." "I know," he replied, his voice thick with emotion. "And I don't expect it to happen overnight. But I'll be here. I want to work towards something, even if it takes time. Even if it means falling on my face." Jake interrupted their exchange, leaping from his chair, bright-eyed and full of innocence. "Mom! Can we bring my rocket to the park? It's ready for launch." Sarah smiled, the warmth of Jake's excitement washing over her. She looked back at Ryan, who was watching their child with a mix of admiration and longing. It dawned on her then, could opening this door lead to something good? Something bigger than themselves? "Maybe going to the park could be a start," Sarah said, testing the waters. "You can help Jake with his launch." Ryan's face lit up, transforming the tension in his features. "I'd love that. I could show him how to make it fly higher." She nodded slowly, her heart pounding. "Okay, let's do it. But it won't be all smooth sailing. There will be hard conversations." Ryan's smile faded slightly, but he held her gaze with determination. "I'm ready." As they gathered their things, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing at the beginning of something monumental. The park was just a stone's throw away, but the journey they were about to embark on loomed larger than any distance measured in miles. The sun peeked through the clouds as they stepped outside, and Sarah inhaled deeply, feeling the crisp air fill her lungs. There was a lightness in her heart, leaving behind ghosts of yesterday's pain. "Mom, come on!" Jake shouted from the sidewalk, tugging at her hand. The pure joy radiating from him was infectious. She turned to Ryan, who was just a breath away, and for an instant, their eyes locked. What were they about to unleash together? As they walked to the park, the unsteady foundations of their relationship flickered like distant stars. Would they find common ground, or would the path prove too treacherous? The park came into view, bursting with life and laughter, and Sarah felt her heart race with possibilities and trepidation. As they made their way towards the open field, she wondered, could this day mark a new beginning, or would it be just another fleeting moment slipping through their fingers? What truths awaited them there? The park sprawled before them, a canvas of colorful chaos painted with the sounds of children's laughter, dogs barking, and the rustle of leaves in the gentle breeze. Jake darted ahead, dragging his rocket behind him like a comet trailing its tail. His joy seemed to bridge the chasm that had separated Sarah and Ryan for so long. "Look, Mom. Look, Dad." Jake called, his excitement bubbling over as he reached an open space near a cluster of trees. He dropped down and began to set up his rocket, oblivious to the tension still lingering between Sarah and Ryan. They followed, and Sarah felt an urge to watch her son, to get lost in his innocence and delight. As Jake desperately tried to balance the rocket just right, Sarah turned to Ryan, who stood a few feet away, his hands shoved deep in his pockets. He looked uncertain, as if he was still deciding whether to step closer. "Do you want to help him?" she asked, her voice softer than she intended. Ryan looked up, surprise flashing across his face. "Yeah, of course," he said, moving forward with a newfound purpose. Watching him approach Jake, Sarah felt a strange mix of anxiety and hope. Would he be able to connect with their son, or was this just another chance to disappoint them both? Jake looked up, his eyes shining. "Dad, can you hold it while I press this button?" He gestured to the remote control, his tiny fingers barely able to embrace it. Ryan crouched next to him, his confidence gradually returning as he placed a steadying hand on the rocket. "For sure, buddy. Just give me the word," Ryan said, a smile breaking through his earlier reserve. The connection was instantaneous. Jake's admiration for his father radiated like sunlight. Sarah felt her chest tighten as memories of happier times flooded in. This moment should have felt like magic, but remnants of past hurt lingered in the corners of her mind. On the count of 3, Jake instructed, his voice high with anticipation. 1, 2, 3. They pressed the button together, and with a whoosh, the rocket soared into the sky, a bright trail of smoke marking its flight. The exhilaration on Jake's face was immeasurable, and for a moment, the past faded. Ryan's laughter joined Jake's, the sound wrapping around them like a warm embrace. "Did you see that?" Ryan exclaimed, his own childlike wonder returning. "That was amazing. Let us do it again." Jake yelled, jumping up and down, his boundless excitement contagious. Yet, underneath it all, an unmistakable tension loomed. Sarah could sense it, a delicate balance between enjoyment and the unresolved feelings swirling just out of reach. As Jake raced to prepare another launch, she remained still, watching father and son bond. "I never knew how much I missed this," Ryan admitted, quietly, close to her ear. "It hurts, not being with you both." She took a deep breath. "It's still going to take time, Ryan. This isn't just about a day in the park. Jake deserves more than just your presence, he needs your heart." Ryan nodded, his expression grave. "I'm here. I want to give him everything." As they stood side by side, Sarah felt like they were walking a tightrope, the possibilities dizzying. It was a fragile moment, a glimpse of a more profound connection yet to be fully realized. Could they truly rebuild what had been lost? Jake shouted over his shoulder, "Mom. Dad. Come help me find the next perfect launch spot." They exchanged a look filled with unspoken questions. "Ready?" Ryan asked, a hint of uncertainty creeping into his tone. "Let us see where this takes us," she replied, masking her fears behind a cautious smile. With that, they moved towards Jake, who beamed at the thought of another adventure. Sarah's heart raced with mixed emotions. Did hope flicker in the air like the rocket's trail? Or were they forging a path strewn with more pain? As they ventured forward into the lively park, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were just at the beginning of something monumental. What if today didn't end with laughter but instead invited deeper conversations they desperately needed? Underneath the golden sunlight, she realized that sometimes beginnings are born from the most unexpected places, stirring up questions that linger, waiting on the edges of their hearts. The hours at the park flew by like the rockets Jake launched into the sky. Each successful takeoff sent ripples of joy through Sarah's heart, awakening memories she thought long buried. Ryan and Jake were lost in their world, the laughter of children and the playful shouts of families echoing around them. For the first time in a long while, Sarah felt a warm glow spreading through her, a tiny spark of hope flickering alive. Yet, as the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, Sarah knew they were running out of time. The moment felt both exhilarating and precarious, a dance on the tightrope of recovery. Gathering her courage, Sarah called out to them, "All right, team. One last rocket before we wrap up the day." Ryan and Jake turned to her, their excitement palpable. "Let us make it the biggest launch yet." Jake squealed, his little hands clapping together. Ryan exchanged a glance with Sarah that told her he felt the energy of the moment as well. "All right. Let us get it ready," Ryan said, his smile lighting up his face. As they prepared the rocket, Sarah felt a swell of pride watching Ryan interact with Jake. There was tenderness in the way Ryan encouraged him, a hint of the father she always wished he would be. But beneath the surface, Sarah's heart wavered. Could a day of laughter really smooth over the years of pain? "Hold on," she said, stopping them as they were about to press the button. "Before we launch this, I want to talk." Ryan immediately turned serious, concern flickering across his face as he nodded. "Yeah, sure. Jake, why don't you check out the swings for a minute?" Sarah suggested gently, ruffling Jake's hair. "Just for a moment." "Okay, but make it quick," Jake said, sprinting toward the swings, his excitement propelling him forward. As soon as Jake was out of earshot, the energy shifted. Sarah turned to Ryan, the weight of their past pressing heavily on her shoulders. This can't just be one good day. It needs to mean something." "Sarah, I get that," Ryan replied, his voice steady. "I know it'll take time. But seeing you both today, I feel like a part of me came back to life. I want more of this, more of you too." "You disappeared, Ryan," she reminded him sharply, her emotions flaring to the surface. "Not just from my life, but from my son's. He deserves to know you as more than a ghost haunting his childhood." "I know. And I don't expect forgiveness right away or that everything gets fixed in a day. But I want to show you both that I can be better. I need to earn my place. I want Jake to see the real me." The sincerity in his voice cut through Sarah's uncertainty like a hot knife through butter. She saw honesty in his eyes and remembered the little things they once shared, a gentle touch, laughter echoing, and dreams spoken late into the night. "You already are," she admitted softly, her defenses slowly lowering. "Just being here today, it counts. I just don't want Jake to face the pain we faced. I want him to be able to trust you. I promise, I won't let him down again." Ryan's earnest vow wrapped around her heart, mingling with the warmth they once shared. Jake came rushing back, a fresh smile on his face, and without further thought, they huddled together, ready for the grand launch. "Okay, on the count of 3. Jake shouted, firing up their little launching party. "Ready?" Ryan asked Sarah with a glance. "Let us go," she replied, a smile breaking free. 1, 2, 3. They pressed the button together, and the rocket roared into the brightening sky, a burst of color trailing behind. It soared higher than any previous launch, and Jake jumped up and down, his giggles echoing into the evening. Sarah found herself laughing too, feeling the spirit of their moment hopeful and promising, like the new beginning they both needed. As the rocket disappeared into the clouds, she noticed Ryan taking in the moment. "It's beautiful," he said, turning toward her. "Just like all of us," she replied. The shadows from their past felt lighter, like the dusk settling around them. It wasn't perfect, but it was a good start. With their gripped hands, ready to take on whatever came next, they watched the sunset while marks of laughter and the scent of summer lingered around them. They had traveled through storms, but in this delicate moment, they began to see the dawn. "Let us not just launch rockets," Sarah said, turning to Ryan. "Let us launch a new chapter together, just the 3 of us." Ryan nodded slowly, hope glimmering in his eyes for the first time in years. I want that more than anything. Holding hands, with Jake in the middle, they took their first step into a future full of possibility. As the day faded into twilight, they stood together, a family on the brink of transformation, ready to embrace whatever tomorrow would bring. Now, let us not hold back. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending, we want to hear from you. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Show your love for the channel.